Every minute, 6 people simply vanish. While walking or even at home, China's social media is flooded with missing reports, yet 700 million surveillance cameras find nothing. A horrifying secret is revealed. China's Great Depression has arrived. Foreign companies flee in droves, triggering a massive unemployment wave. No way to survive domestically. Citizens seek escape to Vietnam. Putin strikes hard at China. Hundreds of Chinese car dealerships close. Exports to Russia plunge 58%. You're watching Decoding China, bringing you timely analysis and grounded perspectives on today's China. Every minute, 6 people vanish into thin air. While walking or at home, social media in China is flooded with missing reports, yet 700 million surveillance cameras find nothing. A horrifying secret is revealed. A blogger warned, "There are too many missing people. Everyone is urged to take care of their families." Recently, martial arts legends Jet Li and Hung Chun-bao, who were bedridden for 2 months, have both reappeared on Douyin, appearing healthy, amid numerous accusations of blood replacement from teenagers and organ transplants that have sparked public outrage.
中国社交社媒已 flooded with alarming videos and desperate pleas regarding mysterious disappearances across the country, sparking widespread concern among the public. 中国媒体报道，在2024年 3.09 万名人未明失在中国，平均8450名失踪，或如同6名人每1分钟。
The actual number of those lost, abducted, or otherwise missing is likely even more staggering. Despite the Chinese Communist Party spending vast amounts of taxpayer money on the Skynet surveillance system, with approximately 700 million cameras monitoring every corner of the country, very few missing persons are ever found by the police. Why is this the case? On September 3rd, during a military parade, footage of Chinese Communist Party General Secretary Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin chatting cheerfully about organ transplants, immortality, and living to 150 years old shocked the world. What seemed like casual banter unexpectedly revealed the truth about Chinese hospitals secretly serving the elite by performing organ transplants to prolong their lives. It also unveiled the existence of a living organ bank, a revelation that stunned global audiences. Many parents are issuing warnings. Watch your children closely. Never let them out of your sight. One mother tearfully recounted that her 17-year-old daughter vanished right inside her school and has been missing for a year. In another heartbreaking case, a 17-year-old girl named Wen Wen disappeared from a busy square in Anhui province, an area packed with security cameras. Yet, after more than a month, there remains no trace. A 24-year-old man vanished while out for a walk. A 13-year-old girl disappeared on her way home from school. And a teenage boy went missing while cycling before his body was found 21 days later, 20 kilometers from home. People are questioning how, in an age dominated by surveillance cameras, finding a living person is harder than finding a needle in a haystack. Reports of missing children, students, and even adults are surging, leaving families devastated and terrified. Around this same time, authorities in Tianjin released an official price list for human organs. Hospitals authorized to perform transplants are now required to provide financial compensation to the families of deceased donors. 250,000 yuan for a liver, 200,000 for a kidney, 80,000 for a heart, 60,000 for lungs, 50,000 for a pancreas, 40,000 for a small intestine, and 12,000 for a cornea. This policy, described as a 2-year pilot program to encourage humanitarian donations, has instead raised grave concerns that the commercial trade of human organs could be legalized under the guise of compensation. Public outrage also erupted when a Chinese professor surnamed Hong publicly invited foreigners from around the world to come to China for organ transplants, claiming that resources here are plentiful. The statement was slammed as inhumane and deeply offensive. Many called for an immediate investigation into the sources of organs used in surgeries involving foreign patients. Meanwhile, testimonies have surfaced from people claiming they were drugged and nearly abducted under the guise of ambulance rescues. Online warnings have spread rapidly. If you're in an accident, never get into an ambulance called by a stranger. Always contact official emergency services or ask someone you trust for help. Young men between 17 and 22 are said to be particularly vulnerable targets. According to online rumors, CCP officials prohibit police from inspecting suspicious vehicles related to organ trafficking. One person revealed, "There's a base in Fujian. I'm a new police officer and our leaders told us not to check those vehicles. Just let them pass." A traffic officer added, "Our superiors tell us not to question or inspect these vehicles. Just pretend we didn't see anything. I need to make a living. No choice. Those vehicles definitely have issues and they aren't ordinary people." This upheaval coincides with a chilling development that has quietly unfolded in China for years. Large numbers of discarded ID cards have been discovered nationwide. At the entrance of a cave near Gajia Reservoir in Huzhou, a discarded ID card belonging to a girl born in 2006 was found. One such case might not be unusual, but soon after, a man in Hubei who was fishing reeled in a plastic bag full of ID cards. He handed them over to the police, but nothing further was ever reported. In China, ID cards are nearly inseparable from a citizen's daily life, leading many to speculate that something terrible must have happened to these individuals. Eric Mai, a second-generation official from a county-level city in Jiangsu province and an anti-CCP activist who once worked within the system, recently revealed to the Epoch Times the truth behind the large number of missing teenagers in China. Why can't they be found? Because a mysterious force is preventing the search. If you think about it, it's obvious. It's not a secret anymore. The CCP claims to have 100 million members, and a certain proportion of ordinary people must be sacrificed to sustain it. The CCP has long been condemned globally and has ample verified evidence of illegally detaining and forcibly harvesting organs from living prisoners, dissidents, Uyghurs, and Falun Gong practitioners. To date, this network has spread to ordinary citizens as well. As long as this evil regime exists, these horrific crimes will continue, and the people will always live in fear. China's Great Depression has arrived. Foreign companies flee in droves, triggering a massive unemployment wave. No way to survive domestically. Citizens seek escape to Vietnam. A major economic crisis has hit China as a wave of foreign companies pull out of the country, triggering a surge in unemployment. According to reports, over 1,000 foreign companies have withdrawn from China this year alone, resulting in millions of workers being affected. The industries that once played a key role in China's economy, such as manufacturing and services, are now facing severe difficulties, unable to provide sufficient jobs for the country's large workforce. One of the most obvious signs of this crisis is the increasing number of unemployed women who are forced to stand on the streets day and night just to make ends meet. It is reported that each encounter earns them only 50 yuan, approximately $7, a sum insufficient to cover basic living costs. Many women, especially those from rural areas, are struggling to survive by taking on low-paying, unskilled jobs. Furthermore, a growing number of college graduates, including medical students, are forced to accept jobs far below their education levels. Many university graduates have resorted to coal mining or working in delivery services rather than pursuing careers in their field of study. The unemployment crisis is not limited to blue-collar workers, but is also hitting highly educated individuals. Many college graduates and master's degree holders are unable to find work that matches their qualifications. For instance, medical graduates are now working as delivery drivers instead of practicing medicine. This stark reality highlights the severe shortage of suitable employment opportunities in the country, especially as foreign companies continue to leave China and domestic businesses face significant challenges. Meanwhile, local businesses are facing a financial crisis of their own. Small and medium-sized enterprises are grappling with mounting debts, forcing many to shut down or cut their workforce. Even large companies are struggling to maintain operations, which only worsens the unemployment situation. Meanwhile, revenue from land sales has drastically decreased, leaving local governments unable to meet their financial obligations. Consequently, many civil servants have not received their salaries for extended periods. This economic hardship is also being felt at the household level. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, many families in China are struggling to pay for basic necessities, including children's tuition fees and health insurance. Some families are unable to repay their debts, leading to a worsening cycle of financial instability. The growing use of consumer loans has also contributed to an increase in household debt, further exacerbating the financial pressure on many families. As unemployment and debt levels rise, many are finding it increasingly difficult to make ends meet.
中国政府是尝试解决这些问题，但可见的办法显得好有浅浅。Local government public debt continues to rise, our reform efforts lack coordination, failing to resolve the root causes of the economic crisis. Both large and small businesses are struggling to survive, while the unemployment rate continues to climb.
In response to domestic economic struggles, many Chinese citizens have begun seeking opportunities abroad, specifically in Vietnam. It is anticipated that the number of Chinese workers migrating to Vietnam will continue to rise in 2025, driven by the soaring unemployment rate and a lack of job prospects at home.
However, the Chinese government lacks the financial resources to adequately support the unemployed, leaving individuals with few viable options. The overall picture of China's economy today reveals a society facing immense difficulties. Citizens, particularly the working class, are not only grappling with high unemployment, but are also burdened by escalating financial pressures.
Given the current economic climate, it remains unclear when China will recover or if the government can implement effective relief measures. Putin strikes hard at China. Hundreds of Chinese car dealerships close. Exports to Russia plunge 58%. According to the latest data, in the first 9 months of this year, China's car exports to Russia dropped sharply by 58% compared to last year, totaling only 357,700 units. This caused Russia to fall from its spot as China's largest export market down to third place. Just 2 years ago, Russia was China's top car export destination, but this decline reflects a major shift in Russia's economic strategy. Wang Shangyu, founder of Yiwei New Energy Technology Co., recently expressed his concern about the situation. He shared that an order for 10 domestic new energy SUVs has only delivered one so far. The remaining models face high scrap taxes, and customers may abandon them at any moment. As a pioneer in exporting cars to Russia, Wang has witnessed the boom of Chinese cars in the Russian market, but now he feels the significant downturn.
Now, my Russian customer group no longer discusses when they can pick up their cars. Instead, they worry about whether scrap taxes will increase and when Western car companies will return, Wang added. Meanwhile, at a recent conference, Liu Leilai, general manager of Tianjin Shanghai International Trade, also expressed concerns about the decline of the Russian market. He noted that in the past, exporting a new energy vehicle to Russia could generate a net profit of thousands of yuan, but now many of his colleagues have halted their business in Russia, and his company is also reducing exports to that market. Starting last October, Russia increased the scrap tax on newly imported vehicles by 70% or 85%. According to used car sector reports, the scrap tax on vehicles with engine displacements between 2 and 3 liters and over 3 years old will jump from roughly 16,600 to 29,800, an almost 83% increase. On January 1st, 2025, Russia raised the import tariff on cars from 20% to 38%, and customs clearance fees for Chinese cars are set to rise as well.
这会很会影响中国 car brands like BYD 和 Great Wall, plus models from global manufacturers such as General Motors, Ford, and Kia made in China. Exports of Chinese cars to Russia are expected to face major setbacks. A Chinese media report states that in the first quarter of 2025, of the 274 closed showrooms in Russia, about 213 were Chinese brands, accounting for 78% of the total shutdowns.
This indicates that the downturn in the Russian car market is directly impacting Chinese brands, compelling them to rethink their export strategies. Meanwhile, the situation in Mexico is hardly any better. In the first 9 months of 2025, Mexico emerged as the largest export destination for Chinese cars, with 410,700 vehicles exported to the region. However, shortly after Chinese car manufacturers shifted their exports to Mexico, the Mexican government announced it would impose a 50% import tariff on cars from China and other countries without trade deals. Mexican Economy Minister Marcelo Ebrard stated that Chinese cars were entering the market at prices below the reference level, causing unfair competition. Since President Trump assumed office in January, he has repeatedly urged Mexico to align its import tariff policies with those of the U.S., A Bloomberg report suggests that Mexico's decision to raise car tariffs is seen as a way to show respect to Trump's administration, hoping to gain leverage during the 2026 review of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA. While Mexico strengthens measures to protect domestic industries and fight drug-related crime, China is also seeing a shift in policy from countries importing its cars. Meanwhile, Chinese internet scam hubs in Dubai, UAE, are expanding rapidly, raising alarms about the connections between Chinese criminal organizations within these nations.
中时媒体报道指出 ，scam groups have shifted from Southeast Asia to Dubai, making the UAE a new destination for such activities. Ultimately, policy changes in countries like Russia and Mexico reflect a wider trend of adjusting trade relations with China. If this continues, China will face significant challenges in expanding its global car export market as nations increasingly tighten policies to protect domestic industries and stop unfair competition.